just subscribe below, and if you enjoy this story, please leave a comment and give it a thumbs up as well. So I hope you enjoy this story.
Hi, I'm Dan Jones, and this is a story from my book Relaxing Tales for Children. This story is Mystery of the Yellow Lake. So close your eyes, and with your eyes closed, I'm going to tell you the story about Malcolm the rabbit and the mystery of the Yellow Lake. And with your eyes closed, you can listen to me reading this story. While I read this story, you can begin to feel relaxed. And as I read, you can imagine this story in your mind. Malcolm the rabbit lived in the magician's hat. The world inside the magician's hat was strange. The sky was pink and the trees grew upside down. One day, Malcolm hopped along to a nearby park. He followed a winding path that weaved through the upside-down trees to a lake in the centre of the park. When Malcolm reached the lake, he saw a curious sight. Usually the water was green, but today it was bright yellow. Malcolm could see a hedgehog sitting by the lake crying. He hopped over to the hedgehog. "Are you okay?" Malcolm asked. "Somebody has stolen the colour blue from the lake, so the water is yellow," sobbed the hedgehog. "Please can you help me find the colour blue?" Malcolm loved a mystery, so he told the hedgehog he would be happy to help. What Malcolm didn't know was where he would start. "Do you have any clues or ideas about who may have stolen the colour blue?" Malcolm asked the hedgehog. "I saw a trail of blue puddles leading away from the lake. I'll show you." With that, the hedgehog led Malcolm around the lake to the blue puddles. How curious, Malcolm thought, as he looked at the puddles, thinking about where they might lead. Malcolm followed the blue puddles along a path leading out of the park. The puddles were quite close together. This seemed to be a sign that the thief was carrying the colour blue on foot. He wondered who might have taken the colour and why. After leaving the park, Malcolm continued to follow the puddles down the road. Malcolm felt like he'd been hopping along for ages when the puddles suddenly changed direction and led into a hole in the ground. Malcolm got out a torch, turned it on, and hopped into the hole. The hole was wide with muddy sides. The torchlight reflected off the puddles as Malcolm continued to follow them deeper and deeper into the hole. The deeper Malcolm hopped down the hole, the quieter it became around him, as the noises from outside the hole disappeared into the distance. Malcolm found the quiet relaxing. All he could hear was his feet as he bounced along. After 50 hops, Malcolm stopped. He thought he could hear a noise coming from further down the tunnel. He needed to focus so that he could hear better. He closed his eyes and breathed in. Then as he breathed out, he imagined a warm light shining on his head, his neck, and his shoulders. He imagined this warm light relaxing his muscles, and helping him to focus better on what he could hear. Then he breathed in again, and when he breathed out, he imagined that warm, relaxing light moving through his body from his head down to his toes. As the light reached his toes, Malcolm was able to focus his ears on the sound he could hear. It was the sound of footsteps. Malcolm wasn't far behind the thief. He continued quietly following. After another 50 hops, Malcolm saw a light at the end of the tunnel. He hopped quietly towards this light, and when he reached it, he saw a young squirrel carrying a bucket of the colour blue. The squirrel looked worried as it scampered over to an upside-down tree. Malcolm decided to go and talk to the squirrel, so he hopped down from the tunnel and over to the tree. The squirrel seemed surprised to see Malcolm, for the rabbit had done such a good job at keeping quiet while he followed the puddles. "Something is wrong with my tree. I'm trying to save it," the squirrel said. Malcolm wondered what was wrong with the tree. The squirrel told him that the leaves on the tree used to be green, but now they were going yellow, and some of the leaves had fallen off. He had never seen this before. The squirrel said he went to the park to get some colour blue to try to fix the leaves. "If I can make the tree drink the colour blue, hopefully it will make the yellow leaves green again," the squirrel said. The squirrel had never experienced autumn before, and didn't realize that it was natural for the leaves on trees to change colour from green to yellow before falling off in time for winter. Malcolm explained that when the sun starts getting lower in the sky and the weather begins to turn cold, trees prepare to save energy for the winter by drinking the nutrients from the leaves, which makes them change colour. The trees then drop the leaves because they don't need them over the winter, and in the spring they grow new leaves to make new food from sunlight. The squirrel was pleased to hear that his tree was going to be all right. He agreed to go with Malcolm back to the lake in order to return the colour blue. Malcolm and the squirrel travelled together out of the hole, back up the road to the park, across the park and back to the lake. When they arrived at the lake, the squirrel poured the colour blue back into the yellow water, and with a splash and a swirl, the blue and yellow mixed together and the water gradually turned green again. And in your own time, you can gradually allow yourself to open your eyes and continue to feel relaxed.